Alright, hey everybody, we are today going over how to use the basic Kreg Jig. This model is called the K4 now. I've had it since 2012. I don't know what they called it back then. So there's the basic body with the height insert already set up. Here's the drill bit with the collar and the Allen wrench comes with it. Then you're going to need a 1/2-inch wrench to adjust the grip, and you're going to need a clamp. Everything else you need pretty much comes with it. Alright, one of the adjustments you need to make before you start is on the side you will see these dashes with fractional measurements. Those are the thickness of the wood you are using. So make sure to check it, especially if you haven't used it in a while, switching projects. You do not want to blow through or mess up a piece of wood you've already worked on. So make sure it's set to the right one. In this case we're using 3/4 inch, so it's already set. The other adjustment you need to make is make sure your collar is tightened on your drill bit in the right spot. To do that, you set it in the tray. You slide it down. In this case we're still using 3/4 inch. See how it's the shoulder of the drill bit there, not the pilot portion? That's where you want to set it. So you can see the shoulder is set at 3/4 inches with what we're using. So make sure your Allen's tight so it doesn't move when it slides into the tool. Alright, so now everything's set up. Got the Kreg Jig clamped. We got the drill bit in the drill. There's only one more adjustment that we talked about. This is where that 1/2-inch wrench comes into play. When you bite the wood in, you want to make sure it's tight. This obviously is not too tight. I was working with some hardwood that was a little thicker. So you bust it loose with your 1/2-inch. Needs to come out a little bit to get tighter. Better. There we go. Alright, now the collar's down. You can feel that pop. That means it's in there nice and solid. So now, go ahead and drill a couple. I like to work it up and down a couple times while it's in there. That helps keep it cleared out, keeps your bit sharp, and keeps the holes from getting clogged up. Alright, there you go. So here's what your pockets are going to look like after. Alright, now that we got our pocket holes drilled, it is time to assemble. I always use wood glue. And make sure you always clamp it whenever possible. You can use regular wood clamps, or you can use the Kreg Jig specific wood clamps, which I'll show you here in a second. Just a dab of glue. I'd brush it and be more delicate if this was an actual project, but since it's just a demo, just clamping it together. Alright, these are specifically made, as you can see, to fit in the Kreg Jig pocket holes. These are especially handy if you're building something big with shelves, which I'll show you a couple examples. At the end of this video, I'll post all the projects I've done, probably in the last 2 years, using the Kreg Jig. So there you go. She sets up just like vice grips. Now she's clamped in. She's not going anywhere. You don't have to use a clamp. If you're doing something different, you can also make a 90-degree jig, or whatever degree jig you need. Put the screw in the hole. So now that you basically saw how it went together, got one of the 2 fasteners in there for this, I want to go over 2 tips I've learned since working with the Kreg Jig. There's some more little ones, but these are the 2 basic ones I want to pay attention to. First is, I'm not going to tell you the setting because each drill is different. However, especially working with softwoods, you want to try on some practice pieces, because I'm going to show you on this particular drill. I'm going to crank it all the way up, and this is softwood. So you kind of need to find the setting for your drill and the wood you're working with. But I'm going to do this on purpose just to show you what can happen. So if your torque's set too high, you can see how it actually ripped it right there, which can be a real shame if you've put hours into a project and then you ruin it because your torque set's too high. So just kind of start low, work your way up on the torque setting till you find out what works. Another tip is, say you're building something small, like a drawer frame or maybe a small nightstand for a small room. One thing I found works really well, because you can see, say this was the size of my drawer frame, you simply can't, that I was gonna do 2 pocket holes right here. Well, the drill won't fit in there properly. The angle will be wrong, you won't be able to get it to seat. So one thing I've learned is you take the smaller square bit that may or may not come with your kit, depending on which kit you get, and then you just take a basic 1/4 inch socket, and I either electrical tape or painter's tape, whatever I have tape laying around in the shop, and then just use a ratchet and it'll fit right in there. Obviously it takes a little longer, it's not quite as fast, but if you can't get in there, it's better than scarring up the wood. And you can feel it seat, just like with a drill, it just obviously takes a little longer. And the last tip is, you can go on Kreg Jig's website or read their owner's manual for whichever set you get, but they make different screws. So the general rule of thumb though is if it's fine, it's gonna be for your hardwoods. If it's coarse thread, it's gonna be for your softer woods like plywood, stuff like that, so it'll grab, and pine. But again, just take a look at it. Their charts will show you the lengths you need and the threads you need.